Whether you like it or not, AI is here to stay, and it's pretty much been injected into virtually everything we love now. World of Warcraft is just the next thing that it's been added to. In this video, I'll be going over what it's like to run a dungeon full of AI party members. And real quick before we begin, I'd really appreciate it if you guys would leave a like on this video, as well as subscribing to the channel. So, AI party members, or bots. This is basically a new feature that's coming to patch 10.2.5, and it's currently testable on the PTR, so if you guys want to try it out for yourselves right now, you guys can definitely do that. It's pretty interesting because this actually isn't the first time that Blizzard has used AI. Back during BFA, they had the Island Expeditions, as well as the Warfronts, where you guys could queue in against AI bots, and I personally thought that was really cool. It kind of boggles my mind that they haven't used them since, because for the first time doing it with AI, it actually worked out pretty well. I know for the most part people did not like Island Expeditions because they were forced. However, I feel like if they weren't forced, they were actually pretty fun. But anyways, enough about Island Expeditions, let's talk about the AI dungeons. So the way you queue into these AI dungeons is by opening up the dungeon finder and selecting the follower dungeons. Currently, the only ones you guys can do with the AI party members are the new Dragonflight dungeons. But I imagine down the road they'll definitely be adding some new ones in there, and then I could definitely see them adding time walking dungeons into this pool as well. So anyways, you just queue up for whatever dungeons you want to do, and then you just jump straight in because there are no queue times. So once you're inside, you'll get an extra action button that you can drag onto your hotbar, and this button essentially is a way to tell your party members to either lead the way or to just follow you. I ran a few of these dungeons, and I've got to say, this isn't perfect. The AI NPCs are kind of janky. Sometimes they take a moment to attack things, but at least I will say this, the tank always keeps threat and taunts often. I tried to mess with it a little bit and see what the limits are to the AI group members, and I tried to mass pull some stuff. And it turns out, no, your group will die. So this definitely is not going to be a case where you can just mass pull everything and just fly through the dungeon. You're actually going to have to kind of treat this as like a normal one. For the first part of the dungeon, I had the tank leading the way, and I followed along. She always stopped if I got too far and waited for me ahead of time. Something really interesting that I noticed here is that the NPCs will tell you a lot of little things or give you hints. Like, for example, when the start of the dungeon happened, the tank was telling me to jump on the pad to get to the next platform. And then also, when we got to the next area, she even told me to talk to one of the NPCs to get a buff. So I feel like these AI dungeons are definitely going to be very new player friendly. Later on, I switched it over so that the tank was now following me instead of pulling everything, so I basically kind of set the pace for the dungeon. And as I started attacking things, the tank was actually pretty quick to pull aggro and do her job. Once we cleared to the final boss and killed it, the group would tell you that the dungeon was over and that you guys were safe to leave. So overall, I think this is actually a really cool system that they've been developing, but I do think that it needs more time to cook. I just really hope that the version that we're playing with and testing on the PTR is a really old one because, yeah, it's just, again, it's very janky. And I definitely think there are a ton of things that they can really improve on. For example, the one thing that I noticed as a Frost Mage is that the tank would keep pulling their ads out of my Blizzard, which was kind of annoying. I'm not sure if that's a bug or if Blizzard's just trying to make them more player-like, but who knows. I do think that this is a really great tool for players who want to level and not wait 20 minutes for a dungeon queue to pop. As a DPS player, queue times for dungeons run pretty long, so now that you guys have the option of an instant queue while you're questing is really cool. And I think with this new system, for DPS players, now just leveling straight from doing dungeons might actually be a thing. One thing I forgot to check while I was doing these dungeons is how much experience I was getting versus, how much you'd get for running a normal dungeon with actual players. I imagine it's still the same, however, I feel like if this becomes the norm and people stop doing normal dungeons, I could definitely see Blizzard nerfing the experience out of these. It's just going to be a really weird kind of situation that we're going to find ourselves in once this goes live because, what if people just start migrating to just doing things themselves and they stop grouping with players? Because at the end of the day, this is an MMORPG. That's like the name of the game, right? At the moment, you can only run normal mode dungeons, but I am curious to see how they plan on scaling this. I personally think it'd be really cool if they bumped it up to heroic dungeons as well as mythic zeros. But for me, I think it would be kind of where I draw the line with this. I don't want people to be doing this with Mythic Plus. Either way, I think this is going to be a really cool feature for players going forward, but what are your thoughts? Do you guys think this is a good idea, or do you hate it? Let me know in the comments section. Thanks for watching, I'm still Solo, and I'll see you guys in the next video.